At this time, I'd like to invite please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance. Please let the record show that all board members, with the exception of Mrs. Brown, are in attendance tonight. And we do have a student representative report, but before we do that, I would like to ask everybody for a moment of silence, please, for the passing of our former high school principal, Mr. Hartel. I never got the chance to meet him, but I've really heard such wonderful things about him and the leader, the administrator, and the educator that he was. So again, we'll ask for that moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, speaking of the student report, we have Jay Cutman is here from the World Language Honor Society.
Buonasera a tutti, my name is Jake Guffin and I'm a Public Relations Officer at the World Language Honor Society. March is World Language Month, and the World Language Honor Society is making our presence known not only throughout the high school, but the district as a whole. So, some of our activities that we've been doing recently include decorating the hallways. And so we've been putting different flags all around the school and on the walls to spread awareness of cultures, different cultures around the world. Another thing that we've been doing is having music in between passing the periods. So students have compiled a list of different songs and music from their own cultures, and we've been playing them and displaying them throughout each day. Some of our upcoming activities include participating in Udall's International Festival, which students will travel to Udall and help out with a cultural scavenger hunt. And at Okanagan, we have coming up a language exchange in which students will go down and set up games and activities for the younger students. Again, the World Language Honor Society has been doing really strong at spreading awareness of our cultures all around the world and promoting our students' cultures as well. Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an induction ceremony coming up soon for that,
Yeah,
correct?
next week.
That's next week? Yeah. I would like to invite down to the podium, please. We have Decker students, Lucas Cortos, Joseph Pace, and Colleen Rafferty.
Hi everybody, I'm Lucas Cortos. Unfortunately, none of the other guys could attend, so I'm here on behalf of them. But recently we had the opportunity of going to the state competition for DECA up in Rochester last Wednesday through Friday. And I placed 6th regionally, which got me there. And upstate we had a lot of opportunities. I had 2 role-play competitions where I sat down with the judges and I pitched an idea. I scored high in those, but unfortunately didn't take home any medals. In the workshops, there was the great one on leadership and the type of leader that you are. And we brought 3 people, which I think we could change next year. I know it's a really expensive trip. It was close to $700 out of pocket. So if we could gain any fundraising or funding, that would be really good. And next year we're aiming for ICDC, which is the international competition. And additionally, Joe Pace, who's not here tonight, said that Hofstra offered him scholarships because of DECA. So that's a huge deal to us because that means that we can get you more from college out of this club. Also, never mind. Something else I lost. All right, thank you.
All right, I'd like to invite anybody down from the public who would like to speak, wish to speak on an agenda item. I have not received any cards, so we'll move into personnel with Mr. Cameron. Oh, I lied. Maybe I need a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the February 27th, 2024 planning session and the February 29th, 2024 special meeting.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move into personnel, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. I'd like to request a motion for consent item T1, please. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd just like to recognize some of our amazing teachers that have just been accepted retirement by our Board of Education. On behalf of the White members, I'd like to thank for the service of Ms. Jill Culver in our art department for 25 years of service. Ms. Kristen Finnegan, 32 years of service to our elementary students. Ms. Maria Lucy for 25 years of service to our elementary students. Mr. James McManus Jr. for 38 and a half years of physical education service. Ms. Carrie Beth Russo, 20 years of social work service to her. Ms. Kelly Seppi for 26 years of service to our science students. Ms. Karen Testa for 18 years of ASL and World Languages service for our students. And Ms. Mary Claire Yoder for 29 years of English service. I'd like to request a consent on T2, please, as listed in your agenda.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would also like to request a motion to accept the retirement of my left arm over here, Ms. Mary Hock, Administrative Assistant and District Clerk, for 22 years of service to the West Islip Public Schools and our Board of Education. I request a motion for Ms. Hock's retirement.
So moved. Second.
For discussion, I just want to thank you, Mary, for all your time and service that you've done to us, and really for helping guide me and assist me throughout this whole process of my campaigning and my running for the board and my time here. So thank you so much, and on behalf of the grateful community and school district, we thank you as well.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. You know, Mary sits at that end of the table as one of the nicest, quietest people, and gets so much done for this board and this district, and runs the school budget votes and all the votes that we have, and just an amazing person. So congratulations and enjoy retirement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to request a consent agenda for all items listed in your agenda from CL2 through other.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tussey.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. We'll move into the curriculum update with Ms. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everybody. Each spring, students in grades 3 through 8 participate in the New York State English Language Arts and Math tests. The information yielded from these results helps us to ensure that students are receiving the supports necessary for them to meet with success in all subject areas. The test will be administered in April and May this year, and we are encouraging all students to take those tests, as we do use it as a data point to inform our instruction in the classroom. Great things are happening throughout the district. Mr. Wallace's college business law students at the high school attended court during a citizenship hearing and learned about the roles and operations of the federal court system. 3 virtual enterprise startup firms are excited to attend the upcoming International Trade Show at the Javits Center in New York City, where West Islip's future entrepreneurs will showcase their business models. Virtual Enterprise is an amazing class up at the high school that really provides students with that real-world learning experience. Ivy DNA took place at the high school on March 2nd. DNA Day is a full day in-school biotechnology field trip. The students conducted 3 experiments throughout the day and utilized advanced biotechnology typically only made available at the college level. So it was a really exciting day for our students. One of the experiments was titled DNA Transcription Translation Fluorescence Experiment. On Wednesday, March 6th, Bayview hosted a career fair that included parents volunteering their time to speak to the students about their own careers. Careers discussed were that of an architect, electrician, nurse, assistant principal, chiropractor, carpenter, and financial planner. Beach Street and Udall Middle Schools are currently taking part in One Book, One School. All students in grades 6 through 8 are participating in daily challenges and cross-curricular activities surrounding the book, The One and Only Ivan. The E&L Department and World Language Department at Udall and the high school are celebrating International Month. Students at both buildings are sharing information about languages and cultures as they prepare for the International Day event on March 22nd. The West Islip Literacy Summit is scheduled to take place on April 2nd at 7 p.m. The summit will focus on the sharing of the district's instructional practices that support the acquisition of early literacy skills, information related to the science of reading, and a panel discussion of teachers and administrators and literacy experts. Thank you, Mr. Tessie.
Thank you, Mrs. Morrison. We do have some board committees we're going to report on tonight. We'll start with Building and Grounds and Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Building and Grounds Committee met on February 27th at 6:30 p.m. at the Beach Street Middle School Library. First update was the custodial grounds, a general update. There was a lot of extra projects being done, catching up from removing old junk, cleaning basement storage areas, and also, if you've noticed, this was the first week of spring sports, so I know the maintenance and grounds crew were out there getting all the fields ready, so everything was beautiful. Normally, in years past, school sports started a week before, and thankfully they didn't because we had monsoon rains. But even through that, the maintenance crew was able to get all the fields and ready for the sports, and it's nice to see everybody out there. So thanks to the maintenance crew and grounds crew. The Massara BOCES project, if you pass that building, you see a lot of construction going on there. The goal is to get in there, for them to get in there by September 1st. So they ripped up the floors, insulation, wiring, electric work started, HVAC equipment being installed, walls being painted, fixed, lightings. Basically, getting the school ready for what's going to move in there, which is a middle school. So hope to have that all done by September 1st. Part of that agenda is to make sure that what they've guaranteed us is coming through in terms of the dollars spent. So we'll be auditing that as we go along to make sure that we're getting all the actual improvements that were slated for that group. Construction projects have gone on, still ongoing. The high school fire alarm is progressing, replacing all the fire alarm sensors in there. There's literally thousands of them. So that goes on usually at night after everyone leaves. Paul J. Ballou gym windows are going to be done Easter weekend. We've got, let's see, the district security vestibule. The only point of entry in the district that doesn't have the new security vestibules with the double doors was the district office. We are still waiting for NYSA to approve that. We're hoping to get that approved so that can be done for the summer. We were also hoping that last year and it never happened, so waiting for that.
We just received the approval, actually.
Oh, we just received the approval, so there we go. So there's going to be a reworking of the district office that's connected here to Beach Street to get the security vestibule in there and some other improvements to that. And that's actually being paid by Smart Schools funds, so outside the district fund, which is great. High school Beach Street and kitchen projects are waiting for approval as well, and we'll be updating them. We've got the other projects, the capital reserve, that'll be up for the 2024 vote in May. We've got a boiler burner replacement and redoing the Udall Orchestra room. So we'll go to the community to approve those for construction.
All right, thank you, Mr. McCann. Health and Wellness Committee, Mrs. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Health and Wellness Committee met on Tuesday, March 5th. Sorry, I put my notes. Members present were Tim Horan, Rhonda Pratt, Pete McCann, Debbie Brown, Ariane Stubman, Megan Schul, Melanie Steinweiss, Lindsay Hanchuk, Melissa Haggerty, Kirsten Girardi, Kim Scully, Tara Howe, Lauren Albanese, and Noreen Pansman. We went over the financial report. We talked about the upcoming newsletter that's going to be mailed home in the near future. We'll get you the date once that's confirmed. The 5th and 6th grade volleyball tournament, which was held last Friday and Saturday, was a very good success. There were approximately 160 students who participated, and they all had a great time. We spoke about the 2024 community, Fall Community Initiative. We had a vote to decide which event we were going to be doing, and the winner was a Globe Run Walk, which will be at the West Islip High School property. This will be held in early November, and it will be an evening event. The scholarships, senior scholarships, for $500 that we are giving out. And the Alliance has this application on the website, and it's due May 1st. And also, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we're looking for some ideas for Family Connect Night, which is on 5/21. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelly. Education Committee, Ms. Antonello.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Education Committee met Tuesday, March 12th at Beach Library. All board members were present, with the exception of Mr. Tussey. Also, all administrators were present. There were a few topics presented to us by Mrs. Morrison. One was ongoing discussion we've been talking about, the 8th grade acceleration for all in math and science. The board was concerned about that, and by the board I mean pretty much me. Ms. Morrison gave us some information. This coming school year, 24-25, the classes for the 8th grade will stay the same, but there will be some changes for 2025, 2026 for the 8th graders. 8th grade science course options will be, starting that year, biology, which is living environment, 8, or grade 8 science. Math course options will be algebra 8, algebra 8 lab, and grade 8 math. We also talked about cell phone policy. Mrs. Morrison presented us with some draft policy for updating cell phone situation. It's slightly different in each school, elementary, middle, and high school. For example, for K through 5, cell phones are not be permitted. In the high school, there'll be zones, different zones where phones are allowed and phones are not allowed. The policies all had steps in there for violation of cell phone policy. The third thing that came up was presented to us was the Equity Committee. The Equity Committee had met on next Equity Committee meets on April 4th. It did meet earlier. One second. Okay. That was on the 29th. Each committee member was provided with an overview of the results from the parent-guardian feedback document that was sent to all parents at the beginning of February. There were lots of responses, nearly 200. The most important theme out of that was that the expression that the district is doing very well overall, and parents and guardians expressed pride and gratitude throughout their survey responses on all that. And the last thing that came up was grade 3 foundations that is moving from pilot to actual program for the next school year. The meeting ended at 8:30.
Thank you, Mr. Antonello. Finance Committee, Mrs. Marks.
Sorry. Very slippery.
Good evening. Reporting on the Finance Committee. We met yesterday at 8:29 p.m. Committee members present were Grace Kelly, myself, and Mr. McCamp. Board members in attendance were Mr. Antonello, Mr. Vidal, Mrs. Brown, and Mr. Tussey. Administrators present were Dr. Romanelli, Mrs. Pilati, Mrs. Morrison, and Mr. Cameron. The following were presented and accepted by the committee: the treasurer's report, school district funds and extracurricular for January, the payroll summary for January, financial statements for January, internal audits claims report for February, system manager audit trail for February, payroll certification for February 9th through March 8th, and a review of warrants. We reviewed the following finance items: the approval of budget transfers, approval of the 2023-2024 health service contracts, including Deer Park School District and Smithtown School Districts, approval of 2023-2024 DOL-DOR contract for Smithtown School District, and approval of 2023-2024 surplus items, including some athletic items and some miscellaneous IT equipment. And the meeting was adjourned at 8:31.
Thank you, Mrs. Marks. Let's go Policy Committee, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Policy Committee met last night, and our work on the revised, updated policy manual continues. We've had the opportunity since our last meeting, the February meeting, to have our 3,000 policies in administration reviewed by not only the New York State School Board Association, but Mr. Bigliotta and his team at Bowles and Bigliotta. And we are offering that for a first reading tonight of our first new portion of our new policy manual. We also discussed some feedback on the Series 2000s of that new school board policy manual on school board governance. And we are going to continue our work at our April 11th meeting on the 1000 series of community relations and working through our philosophy, goals, and objectives. For those of you that do not know, we're in the midst of a 2-year project to rebuild and put a new policy manual in place that is in conjunction with the New York State School Boards Association recommended policy manuals. And we invite everybody to our meetings. In addition to the new policy manual 3000 administration, we also have on the agenda tonight, offering for a first reading, a revision to policy 7218 in our old policy manual on class rankings and weightings of grades. We also have new policies for timeout and physical restraints, and the regulations and exhibits involved there, and as I mentioned earlier, the 3000s administration. So if I could just offer for a first reading, the revisions to 7218, our new policy 7572, and our new policy manual in Series 3000.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent, and we'll have our second reading at our next meeting, next Board of Education meeting, and then our next policy committee meeting dates are April 11th and June 4th. Thank you, Mrs. Dustin.
Thank you. And finally, we have our special ed committee with Ms. Marks again.
Hi again, the Special Education Committee met yesterday, March 12th at 9 a.m. Members present were Jean Dowling, Gail Doherty, Lindsay Ednick, Dawn Morrison, Dr. Romanelli, myself, and Mrs. Brown. We discussed the Special Education Committee recommendations, and Mrs. Dowling reviewed with us that this month there was a CPSE to CSE transition meeting held for parents of CPSE students who will be transitioning into kindergarten in the fall. The meeting was extremely well attended. Parents were provided with information about that process. There were a lot of great questions asked, a lot of back and forth between the presenters and the parents, and slides were uploaded onto the special education webpage if anyone wants to go refer back to what was presented. They are already excitedly planning next year's meetings. It went so well with feedback provided from the parents. And the meeting was adjourned at 9:30 a.m. That's it.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Pilates up with some business items to discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Chessie. May I have a motion for the approval of budget transfers 4348 through 4360 in the general fund and 4349 through 4361 in the capital fund?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the contracts as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the surplus equipment as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please, of approval of the resolution regarding the receipt of the single audit report for the year that ended June 30th, 2023 from R.S. Abrams and Co.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have a motion of approval, please, regarding the resolution, the bond resolution authorizing the expansion of the district swimming pool.
So moved.
Second. All right, and for this, we have to do an individual roll call. So, Mr. Bedell? Ms. Marks?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Campanello? Aye. Mr. McCann?
Aye.
And aye for myself. Can I have a motion, please, of approval of resolution regarding the notice of public hearing, budget vote, and election of the West Isaac Union Free School District, Suffolk County, New York.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And a motion of approval regarding the resolution that the Board of Education approves the recommendations of the Special Education Committee of students as listed in the district's backup and authorizes the district to arrange for appropriate services.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Romanelli?
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everyone. So I know that Jake actually spoke tonight about the World Language Month, and it was my pleasure to start the day today at Udall Middle School. Got to see some students doing the morning announcements in their home languages, and also teaching some different words in their home language and sharing some great messages with the entire school. Was also able to stop by a classroom to do the community book read for One Book, One School, reading The One and Only Ivan. I sat in with one of the classes and we read for a while and really enjoyed that part of the day. So there's a lot of great stuff going on with that activity there. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Kylie Rendon, our Director of Technology and Innovation. He was the conference chair for the Asset Conference this week, which is a large technology conference on Long Island. It was at the Huntington Hilton. There were about 600 educators there, 200 vendors, there were 50 students there. And the reason I really raise it is that it was a big celebration of West Islip. You know, with 600 educators there, seeing Dr. Kylie Rendon kick off the conference as a West Islip administrator. There were 2 raffles for the 600 people, and 2 West Islip teachers won the raffle, so of course everyone was screaming that it was fixed, but it was great. A nice celebration from them in the audience. We had a number of West Islip educators presenting workshops there, including 3 students from our high school who actually presented at one of the workshops as well. It was Jake, who was here tonight, Owen Marks and Caitlin Salas, so we were really, really proud of them. And the West Islip Jazz Band actually played during lunch while everyone was eating. And so I cannot tell you how many people came up to me on Monday this week at that conference and said how amazed they were with all the great things going on in West Islip. So it was a really proud day for me personally, and just so proud of all the great things going on in this district, the great educators that we have here. We've been talking a lot about the budget. We had our budget workshop number 2 last night. Just want to stress that, that the budget workshops are really a time for us to listen and share, where we're at a moment in time. Circumstances with the budget change all the time. Sometimes they get better, sometimes they get worse, but we basically are trying to pinpoint at that moment in time where we need to be to balance our budget and put together a budget that can be approved by the community. We did receive some favorable news today. The plans came out from the Senate and the Assembly talking about that they were both unanimously in favor of a restoration of Safe Harmless, the Safe Harmless provision that was cut as part of our $3.4 million in foundation aid that we would be set to lose. Also the inflation rate adjustment, they're both in favor of recalculating that to be at the 4.1% rather than the 2.4% that we're at now. And there was actually a push to increase the foundation aid by about 3%, which was a really big positive that we saw in there. And also a push from both groups. One names the actual number, but both groups talk about increase to pre-K funding. And we've been receiving about $5,400 for each pre-K student over the course of many years. But there is a proposal there to raise that to about $7,000 per student. So a lot of good possibilities in there. So we're hoping that the governor, when the final budget comes through, is going to incorporate what the Senate and the Assembly have proposed in their plans. We are still continuing to advocate. I was up in Albany. I know that we had Mr. Kaufman was up in Albany as well, representing WIDA. We've been doing letter writing campaigns. We appreciate all the support of the parents and the staff and community members that have been talking about all of this. And we'll be actually meeting with Senator Martinez, Mr. Tussey, and I at the end of this week to speak with her. And we have Assemblyman Durso coming to the district next week. So we're still really, advocating and pressing for restoration of these funds, and very hopeful that we'll be getting that back and then some.
Good. All right, thank you. Just 2 reminders. One is the West Islip High School production of Anastasia takes place starting tomorrow night is opening night. Tickets will be $20 at the door. I'm very excited. If you've ever had a chance to see the production that the students put on, it is incredible. And if you have not, I strongly recommend you come down Thursday, Friday, or Saturday afternoon. Also, parents, an ad on TikTok looks like it's taking place, so be sure to hug your children when you get home, because I'm sure they might be very upset. But with that being said, I would like to invite anyone down from the public. We have one more. Oh, we do? Oh, of course. All right. Before we get to this card, please.
I apologize. I forgot to do a reminder for Septible earlier when I did the special education committee review. This is a really, really fun night. They have great baskets that they raffle off. Bowling has gotten so expensive. This is a really good price. It's $45 per person, which includes unlimited bowling, issue rental, entertainment, and some snacks and soda. Please get your tickets, the sooner the better. The event is on April 13th at 7 p.m. at Babylon Lanes in West Babylon. You can go on the SEPTA Facebook page to sign up on Member Hub, or you can pay cash. Thank you.
All right, we do have one card. Ms. Morley, would like to come down and speak? You can, whatever's easy for you.
Quick, just the UPK, as far as that goes, is there space at South Shore for 2 additional classrooms? There are, I don't know the layout, my only one child went to UPK.
Yeah, so Mrs. Morrison and I went and visited with Mr. Bassi the other day to South Shore just to see if that was a possibility for us. There are definitely 2 well-sized classrooms, traditional classrooms that could be utilized in that space for pre-K classrooms for our students.
And as far as the lottery goes, I know that this year, my kids are out of, well, one's out of pre-K, the other one has a very long time before pre-K. As far as the sibling preference, if, like, for minutes, let's say they go over 20 kids, how does that work as far as those 20 kids that stay in the building?
Well, I'll tell you that, our intention is that we would like to still honor that, as we did say that we're going to try to do that this year. I know some circumstances have changed with there being only 1 section as opposed to 2. So what we're in the process of doing is, looking at all the requests for each of the buildings, taking a look and notating if a student has a sibling in the building, and then if we have an issue there where we have more than 20 students with siblings in the building, then we'd have to have, make some decisions then. But I think it's just a little premature to get there, because we may be okay. We may have a handful of students have siblings and then be able to honor that and then do the lottery for the remaining students there.
And now with the empty classroom, what is going to come from that for Mensa? What are they turning that? Is there any plan for it?
Well, we do have a lot of shared space. Also, we have increased enrollment next year, which is a good thing, K through 5. So we're up 24 students at the elementary level. So we will be adding, 1 elementary teacher at the elementary level. We have to still look at our enrollment in each of the buildings because we don't have our final class size reports yet. The kindergarten enrollment kind of is, although there's a deadline, it's kind of rolling. We still accept students as they come in. So there could be an additional class that goes in there for K through 5, or there could be a release of shared space. There's plenty of things we could be doing with the space.
All right, well, that's all we have tonight. So again, as always, I thank everybody for coming tonight and supporting all of us and bringing your concerns to us. I have a motion, please, to adjourn to executive session where the board can discuss negotiations, litigation, personnel. So moved. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Hopefully see you tomorrow night at